Let's go where we need to go. Liability insurance. Okay. So here are two of the situations that you have to take in consideration when we talk about liability.
Oh, y'all want to pay cash? Oh,
So-
shit. Sorry, Bob. All right. Thanks.
Uh-oh. So once again, guys, please, turn your microphones off, because I have to go there and turn you off myself because it's interfering with the class. Remember that when you're at home, you have to be very careful. It's not that you're gonna ask people not to talk, but keep the microphones a little, on your watch, because you don't want things that happens in your home to be heard by others. Not good. Remember, HIPAA privacy and confidentiality. Apply HIPAA. So what happens when negligence is caused by another party? Remember, there's got two factors. We got to watch out two things to see what will be, the issue or the consequences with this. It is determined that there was no third-party negligence. That's the first part. If there is no third party, then liability insurance pay for it. And what happens when you have the third party was a liability? If it wasn't, well, there's no other responsible, right? So it's got to be us. But if there is a third party, when that third party will be responsible. So your insurance, your liability insurance will not pay for any of those expenses, whatever the case may be. So basically, that is what it is entailed in this slide about liability insurance. Subrogation. Now, what is subrogation? Not that you're going to be asked. In other circumstances, you will be asked, but in this case, you will not in your exam. Refers to the contractual right of a third-party payer to recover healthcare expenses from a liability party. So this is something else. Think about a surrogate mother is having the baby for someone else. So here will be another insurance that is going to recover those that liability insurance from someone else. So that's basically what it is. Someone else is doing the work. So another insurance is going to cover or recover, or it's going to pay the damages, not the other party. So that's basically what it's talking about. So don't get too caught up with that, because that is actually not something that you will be asked. But just in case, you get into some type of motor vehicle accident, and, call the authorities and make sure that you have all your stuff straight up. Because other than that, you're going to end up paying probably for someone else's fault. Remember, when you try to make arrangements on your own, you don't know what the other party liability or insurance is. Maybe it doesn't even have liability insurance. It doesn't have insurance at all. So if you kind of negotiate with them, you might be the party who's going to be responsible, because you're the one who has it. If the other don't have it, then probably you're going to end up paying. Of course, the other person is going to get in trouble legally, but you're going to be involved in something. So determined by one of the following criteria, the commercial claims, how they decide how much money they're gonna reimburse. That's basically what it is. Patient is covered by one commercial plan. Yes, because it has to be. You're not gonna reimburse money from a governmental insurance. No, you're using your commercial insurance, so his or this insurance is responsible for you, not someone else, not some other insurance. Whether you are self-insured, remember, because you might be having your insurance on your own, or you have it through a employer group health plan. So that's how you will be, how they gonna determine who's the party who's gonna pay the services are. So again, whether you are by an association, remember you are part of this group, not the employer group itself, but this association, because these small companies got, together and then join a insurance plan for the employees because they're not able to do it on their own. So again, or whether you are the principal or you are, remember the principal means the insured, the policy holder, or it is a dependent. So dependents, the policy holder, they will be covered by this insurance because you have joined it, whether through an employer, whether you buy it yourself, or you got it through, you carry coverage through this association insurance. So basically, that's what is kind of summarizing right there. So what happened with the patient is a child? Well, the patient is a child. That means that you are a dependent, right? This is not like, Medicaid. Medicaid will have certain plans for the children, for the pregnant, for the children that are still in school, for the children that are still are in college, and so on and so forth. Or for the families who do not have, that are making a little more money than you qualify for Medicaid, but then the expenses are higher than you qualify. But that will be Medicaid. Here, the commercial is a little different. When the patient is a child who is covered by two or more plans. So basically, that's what is important. Primary policyholder is the parent whose birthday occurs first in the year. Remember the birthday rule? So here it applies to. So the birthday rule is going to apply for all the insurances in cases where the child is a dependent, whether both of the parents have insurance. So we have to determine that. That is going to happen to all the insurances, except for Medicaid, of course. But the private insurance, definitely. Because remember, if you enter the wrong insurance, let's put it that way, the wrong policy insurance, mistakenly using the mothers instead of the fathers based on the birthday rule, then the insurance is not going to pay. It's going to reject the insurance because they know that this person is not primary for them. So it's not like they are guessing. No, they receive the claim and they go over, they check the name and says, oh, no, wait a minute. This is not primary for. So she has another insurance right here through the husband, and the husband is supposed to be the primary. So remember, you got to be very clear with that, making sure that you know which insurance should be in the block of as a primary, which one as a secondary. This is always the problem when you have more than one insurance. So if you don't know about it and you have to do this, don't do it. Ask someone else or give this task to do it to someone else, if that were the case. But if it's not, no worries. But the better rule sometimes is ask in exams. One more thing, these exams questions are changing over time. So it's not done, you're gonna get all these questions that said, oh, I didn't see any of these questions. They kind of, change the test. So sometimes you have some questions, sometimes they remove it, sometimes they put something else. And that's what we cover a lot of stuff because we don't know exactly what's gonna be. But most of the questions that I'm telling you are the ones who's gonna be there. Most of the stuff, it's not gonna be every single question because I've been telling you like over 1,000 questions. So, well, you will be asked about that. If you take the exam through the NHA, through our school, that's the one that we use. That will be 180 questions. But remember, those 180 questions are divided in every single subject that you take in class. Anatomy and physiology, that will be phlebotomy, that will be EKG, that will be loganetics, that will be OSHA, that will be telephone techniques, that will be communication and scheduling. So they can have 1, 2, 3, 4 from these chapters, but remember they have different type of tests. So some of you are getting some questions, some of you are getting other questions. So that is the reason why we cover so many things. But if you don't have this, at least you understand. Remember, it is important because at least when the patient comes to your office, you know what questions to ask. It's not like, okay, what insurance do you have? Can I have the car? Then next, do you have another insurance? Or are you insured by your spouse? Or you use your spouse? No, I'm not married, I don't have this. Well, that's fine. But remember, as much information as we collect, because it's not you that's going to complete the claim, but the billing department that works for our office is going to be doing that job. And if you don't collect all the information, then they're going to make mistakes and the claim is going to be rejected. So that is what is important. So you need to kind of, we work as a part of the team. So we do a good job so other people don't have to, work so much because this is part of us. Remember, insurance, the billers and the coders, they are not the ones who register the patient in the office. They are not the ones who collect and verify insurance. They have nothing to do with this. They just, file the claim to the insurance company. They change, the diagnosis, whatever is written there for codes, and that is it. They don't have anything to do with, verifying the patient insurance or figuring out how many insurance the patient has. We do. As medical assistants, we are there, and that's our job to verify whether they have one insurance or more, or whether the insurance have changed, whether your information in your insurance have changed, because that's another thing. We don't get paid. If it shows that now you are divorced, now you remove your ex last name because that was on your card, now it's not gonna work. So remember, those things are very important for us to get all the information straight. So commercial secondary coverage. Charges are made to the CMS 1500 claim when patients are covered by primary and secondary or supplemental health insurance. So in other words, what it's trying to tell you is like, if you have a primary, you have a secondary, and you have a supplemental insurance, it's going to be a block right there on this form when you're going to enter this information. So that's basically what it is. If you omit this, one of the informations, one of the insurance ID is not added to the CMS 1500, then it's going to be a problem. Particularly if it is the supplemental one, then you will be responsible for the balance. And if you messed up within the first primary or secondary, then the claim is going to be rejected. So either or, gonna have some issues right there. And the main part is we're not getting reimbursed. Well, we're getting reimbursed on the first one if you don't use the supplementary insurance or your secondary insurance. That's your fault, because we're gonna get paid by the primary, and everything else we're gonna, bill it to you as the patient. And you don't want to do that because remember, the patients are gonna come after you. So it's our job to inquire for any additional insurance. Get used to. Secondary health insurance plans provide coverage similar to that of primary plans. Well, it is true, because if you work for this company, you got, this employer-sponsored insurance, and your spouse works, well, it works as a primary for both of you. Because if that was individually just for you, that would be your primary. But when combined, if I insure my wife, I put her in my insurance, even though if she has hers, still, one of them is going to be the secondary. So that's basically what it is. So we need to understand, how these insurances are, selected as primary or secondary. You just ask not which one is primary or secondary. That's not what we ask the patient. Do you have another insurance? Oh, yes, I have my husband's, I have my wife's. Oh, yeah, I have a supplemental one. Oh, sure. Can I have the card, please? And you get that information because it's needed. If they don't, then, they're going to have problems. We're going to have problems. They're going to have problems. Remember, we're not going to get paid because if you're using the secondary instead of the primary, claim is going to be rejected. And if the patient do that, then, probably they don't tell us that they have a secondary, they're going to receive a bill. And then they come to us and they're going to blame us for them getting a bill. When the same payer issues the primary and secondary or supplemental policy, submit just one CMA claim. So what it's trying to tell you is that if you participate or your insurance, your primary, your secondary, your supplemental comes from the same insurance company, then we just file one claim because it's for the same company. And they know that you have a primary, secondary, and supplemental. But you have to show that on the form. And they're going to go over it. They're going to see, well, if it were some little issues within, they're going to fix it. Because they know that all these insurances belongs to the same insurance company. If you messed up and you put the primary as the secondary as the primary, they're going to fix it up because it's the same company. Now, when your primary insurance, it belongs, or your supplemental insurance belongs to a different policy, insurance policy with another company, that works differently. Because remember, as I mentioned yesterday, then you file first for the primary, and then when we receive approval, when we receive confirmation that we got paid for that primary, now we're gonna send another claim for the secondary. We're not gonna send it at the same time because we don't know how much the primary is gonna reimburse us. So then we wait for that, and then knowing how much money is left, how much money the patient has to pay, then we send it to the secondary or supplemental insurance. So that's exactly what it's telling you right here. So we need to understand that. So think about it. We don't add different insurances to one policy because it belongs to one insurance claim, not to two different, you have to bill separate. So that's basically how it is. So insurance is a little complex. So once again, if you have to do that type of job, then you have to be very, very detailed because, any little mistake can lead to a rejection or even denial of a claim. People is not playing around. Remember, when it comes to the company to reimburse us for money, they're gonna find issues because they don't want to pay, right? They know that they have to pay, but if you make a mistake, they're gonna blame it on us. Like I said, oh well, we're gonna delay as much as possible, or we're probably not gonna pay if they don't have all the information to support this claim. We don't want to get into that situation because that's going to become an issue from then on. So that's basically what it is. Here it says that when the primary payer has processed the claim, now we have to generate the second CMS 1500 for the secondary and submit it. So that is after the payer's remittance advice is being reviewed. Remember that remittance advice is the statement that the medical provider receives, detailing, summarizing all the services that we claim and were paid, and whatever was not paid, and the reasons why they weren't paid. Patient is going to receive the explanation of benefits, but not with all these details. But it's very similar to the remittance advice. So I have to receive the remittance advice. That means I got paid. So then I'm gonna submit the secondary insurance or supplemental, because now I know how much money I got reimbursed. Now I know how much money I'm gonna claim for the second and see if I can get all that. So that's how it works. So it's very important for us to actually understand how all this works. Any questions about commercial insurance? Just to summarize, remember, commercial insurance is going to be the primary. It doesn't matter. It's going to be the primary if you have more than one insurance, commercial and government. It will be the primary. So that's basically what it is. If you have two, primary and secondary, through two different commercial, well, they're going to figure it out which one is the primary. So usually the primary is the one that holds the policy name on there. That will be the primary. And if it is the husbands or the wives, then, that will be like a dependent. So that will be the secondary. Or the child. So basically, that's how these insurances work. Okay, so we finished with the commercial. We're not gonna do anything else because the other ones will be taught next week. We have a couple more chapters that we're gonna cover. So I don't wanna alienate with all this information because most of the information is not relevant at this point, just for you to have an idea of what is commercial insurance, how they play when filing, the claim for reimbursement, and what's considered primary or secondary or supplementary insurance, commercial insurance, what is liability insurance, what is disability insurance, and what are the purposes. So that's basically what it is. Anything else, just, not relevant at this time. Okay, so we're gonna leave it right here. Enjoy your weekend. It's very cold outside, so stay warm. See you then next week. Have a nice weekend.
Have a nice weekend, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good weekend. Thank you.
Bye now. Yes. I know you're gonna be very upset that I let you go early, but hey, what can I do?
It's okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I know I'm being sarcastic, no worries.
No,
Who
thank
doesn't
you.
wanna who doesn't wanna go home? Who doesn't wanna do something else? I mean, you don't have to go out, but you had other errands that you had to run in your home or watch your favorite TV show. Who knows? Just take advantage. All right, see you then. Take care. Good night.